All right. Happy Friday. Happy commit day. Fun day for the Noles. Fun week for the Noles. We'll hang out for like an hour today. We've got some big news coming at the top of the hour. May or may not have a pre-record done. I think Florida State's going to get some good news. We were almost on time. We were here and we were on time, and we hit go live at 11. But you can only have so much storage in the program we use, and so we had to like refresh and delete some stuff. But we put the effort in to be on time this time, and I think we did a pretty good job. So, as always, thank you guys for hanging out. Thanks for showing up. Let some people get in here, get started around, I don't know, the 3-minute mark or so. We're about a minute in. Talk a little bit about KJ. I know that's what everybody wants to talk about. Definitely shared some insight over in the Discord on KJ. Maybe give you guys some of those nuggets. Not everything, because we got to hold some stuff back for the supporters. But if you haven't joined the Discord, it would be a good time to go and do that. Link is in the description. So make sure that you check us out over there. If you're in the Animal House, I see is that Cannon? Oh no, that's Jacob already. No. I get confused because there's like 6 different names that you guys use on different stuff. But shout out Jacob for being here. Everybody else that's not here, Jacob's getting the first of the XP. So shout out Jacob. Join the MF Discord. Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about when he's visiting, what Florida State thinks they can do. We got another big visitor on the 29th. We had a commit yesterday, commit today, commit tomorrow. We whiffed on a kid yesterday. We'll talk about that too. I know that's not the most fun, but yeah, we got a lot of updates, a lot of things to talk about. Want to get you guys' thoughts on a lot of it. And what are we right now? 51 days away? Is that the number? How many days until September 3rd? 9/3/23. I think it's 51, right? 51 days. Shout out the Animal House. Season's coming quick. Oh, man. Is anybody off yet? Is anybody's weekend started? 11 a.m. on a Friday is maybe a little bit early for a weekend to get started, but is anybody living that life? Is anybody living the complete freedom life? My weekend hasn't started yet. What are we anticipating this weekend? We'll talk about all of that. I think Florida State lands at least 2 commits this weekend. I think we'll also continue to get good news on some other potential targets as that continues to roll in. So, all right, let's talk about KJ Bolden a little bit. FSU student here, already off. Very good. TJ's going live. That's my boss angry. People are saying they had meetings and stuff. You guys can't be scheduling meetings. You got to block off your calendars. We're going to try and do that every Friday at 11. I think that's a good time to do this. That's going to get kind of weird in season because a lot of times I'm driving at this time, like to get up to Tallahassee. But we'll figure out a good time and stuff. So, okay, let's get after it. All right, KJ Bolden, 5-star safety. Some news came out this week from Chad Simmons. Brendan Sonnone of Noles 247 also put out some info that essentially Florida State, I think the perception is that the Noles are surging here and that the Noles are getting closer on KJ Bolden than they have been. That certainly seems to be the way that Chad Simmons framed it. I think it makes sense from a national perspective that it looks like that. Have you seen the meme where the astronauts like looking back at the Earth and the guy's got the gun pointed at him? He said, XYZ happened, and then the reply is like that. No, that's always been the case. I don't think FSU is surging here. I think Florida State has always been in this battle and has always been a competitor, but I don't think national folks really realized how much and how good of a job Florida State had been doing with KJ Bolden. I think that I was given some info, and we shared this with our Discord, that Florida State, a lot of times when the reports on KJ were coming out, Florida State was a an afterthought, right? Like they'd list his 5 schools and then they'd include Florida State. Oh, and Florida State was KJ's dream school growing up. Like that would be all that the national guys would write. And I spoke with some people around that time. Erica, no problem. You're forgiven. You should have let me know. I would have delayed the start. So you're totally fine. But I do think on the road stream sounds wild. The big problem with that is the service is so bad going up 75 and across 10. So it just wouldn't work. Like maybe we could do like a call-in thing if we could figure that out. But like I don't think you guys could the service is so bad once you pass Busy Bee. So anyway, but yeah, I don't think Florida State is surging, right? I think Florida State's always been there. I don't think the national guys are picking up on that as much. I think Florida State also like has the staff, and this probably goes for every staff. The staff doesn't care what the media articles and general public thinks their chances are with any certain recruit. And that probably is true for every staff. If you can kind of lurk in the shadows and not be the one that everyone thinks they have to beat out, then great. We were told a couple of weeks ago that Florida State is much more likely running 2nd or 3rd in this recruitment as opposed to 5th or 6th. Now it seems like that is the general consensus. Florida State ahead of Clemson, Florida State ahead of Auburn, Florida State ahead of Florida, anybody else, right? Like I think that, Georgia, Ohio State, main competitors, but there's some confidence and there's some belief that Florida State might even be leading this. I know that's not what Simmons said, but when you talk with Sonone, when you look at his article, when you talk with some of the people that you talk with that are close to the situation, I think Florida State feels really good here. Now, I think Ohio State and Georgia feel good too, and that doesn't typically happen in big-time recruitments. Like usually you know who feels good, who doesn't, where the contact, where the communication has been. And I don't think you always have 3 schools that feel good. I think right now all 3 schools feel like they've done a good job positioning themselves and setting themselves up to be successful in 20 days, 25 days. So that's kind of where I think it sits right now, is that a lot of people feel like, I think Georgia feels like they can do enough between now and the 5th to get his commitment. I think Florida State feels like they're in a good spot and they could do enough. And that's why I think you have 3 teams that are confident right now. I will say it's been reported that Florida State is doing everything that they can to get him on campus the weekend of the 29th when they have a big recruiting event, when they have elite camp. Auburn obviously wants to get him on campus there. They want to be able to surge a little bit. Auburn doesn't seem like a true competitor to me unless they just drop a insane bag. I mean, we know how Auburn recruits. And so I think that Florida State, if they can get KJ on campus at the end of the month on the 29th, I think they're in a really good spot to land him on the 5th. And we'll see what happens. A lot of time between now and then. And then there's a lot of time from the 5th until middle of December when he will sign with someone, I would assume, for schools to kind of continue to work on it. I know that whether he commits to Florida State, Georgia, or Ohio State on the 5th of next month, I believe that all 3 schools or the other 2 schools will continue to push really, really, really hard for KJ Bolden. I haven't put a prediction in the Discord yet. I typically do with any kind of recruiting news or anything like that. I think there's still just a lot of time to go. But I do think that if it was today, I might lean Garnet and Gold on this. So I feel good about where we're at, but there is a long way to go, right? It's tough to predict what's going to happen in 3.5 weeks. But I think the Noles are sitting in a good spot. Well, we'll talk about the Canes tournament. Actually, that was our next topic coming up. So let me take a sip of water and we'll go. Hey, Ty, I see Ty in here. Ty started off our Super Chats last week, and I feel good about him not being the winner this week. But I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I put no pressure on this. I don't care if you guys do this or not, but YouTube is a little bit of a scam artist, and I didn't realize this until like last week, but they take 50% of all Super Chats. So that's kind of a scam to me. Like, it's a tip. Like, I see ad revenue, like that's fine, but 50% of all super chats is wild. So I put the Venmo and PayPal down there. I've got my phone out. So if you do the Venmo or PayPal to the business account, we'll shout you out. We'll put your comment up on screen. Just let us know that you've done that. But I've got the alerts turned on. I think giving YouTube half the money is asinine. So I'm not with that. If you want to get your comment on screen, super chats are fine. We're not going to tell you not to do that. But if you don't want to give YouTube half your money, then find another avenue. Venmo and PayPal down there on the bottom. All right, JoJo Trader, let's talk about this. Let's address it for those hanging out and in here. I know Ty is super excited. I know the Miami fans are super excited. JoJo Trader commits to the Hurricanes last night. I've got a little bit of info, a little bit of insight that we shared on our Discord. I can't give all of that out. Some of that's kind of exclusive info, but I will talk a little bit about some things that I've been hearing on his recruitment, some things that were told to me. I think that Miami did a really good job here of being able to close there. I think a big part of this that I was told a couple of weeks ago and then kind of reconfirmed last night is Miami took a kid. Is it Ryan Mack, Harlan, I believe? Ryan Mack that JoJo is super close with. The relationship has been described to me twice as almost like brothers. They are just phenomenal friends. Like they are so close. And I think that played a big part in JoJo's commitment. I was told that Miami, again, this is from somebody closer to Miami than I am, but I was told that Miami essentially was only taking Mack to try and get Trader. He's the number 600th ranked player in the country. I don't think it's a bad take. I don't think he ever ends up playing there. But I feel like they kind of got a 2-for-1 there. I also believe staying close to home. There are rumors around, health of family members and things like that. Staying closer to home, it was a big thing for Trader. And we'll see what happens. I expect Florida State to continue to pursue there. I think that Florida State will stay active in that recruitment. And until he, officially comes out and says, I'm shutting it down, don't contact me anymore, I think Florida State will continue to try and work on JoJo Trader. Will they have success? Will they be able to flip him? If Miami's season goes off the rails again this year, like it typically does and has for the last 2 decades, will they, have a better chance to flip him? Can they get him on campus for the Florida State-Miami game later in the year when that beatdown happens? And so I think that that's all kind of important stuff to look at. I think, we'll get to another 5-star wide receiver that Florida State's active with and targeting as well. But I think those are big things for Trader's commitment. Obviously, not a weird recruitment, but a recruitment that really, really slowed down and went quiet and almost dark for a few weeks. Trader comes out, commits last night. I don't think Miami's done. I think that they've filled up their class with a ton of 3-stars, and now they're going to try and recruit a little bit better, kind of like the big boys are. So the commitment did move them ahead of Stanford. So shout out Miami for the elite move up with JoJo Trader. Yeah, Jeremiah Smith. All right, that's our next one. That's our next update. Again, hit the comments, hit the you can hit the super chat, but hit the other options down there on the bottom of the screen or the links in the description if you want to get a comment on screen. Brad is still our leader right now from the last live. We did a live on Wednesday night with the watch along, but yeah, 30% blue chip ratio is nuts. That's such poverty. Speaking on we'll get to that in a minute, but Mario and Coach Willie Napier over there are about to get stuffed in a locker today anyway by Coach Atkins and Coach Norvell. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But Jeremiah Smith, this would be the big one. I just read that Jeremiah Smith has visited Florida State like 5 or 6 times, and it sounds like Jeremiah Smith is going to be on campus in 2 weeks. Shout out to Zach Blostein of Noles 247 for breaking some news that Jeremiah Smith would be visiting on the 29th when Florida State has their elite camp, their big weekend. Charles Lester is supposed to be in attendance for that event. He is obviously committing the day before. You'd have to think that he's probably leaning FSU. We feel good about FSU. I don't think he shows up there if he commits elsewhere, though, just for what it's worth. But I do think you feel really good about him. I think it's interesting. You're going to have a pretty awesome pitch to throw at KJ Bolden that says, hey, we have multiple 5-stars on campus with Jeremiah Smith, with Charles Lester. KJ, we want you here as well. I think all of these recruitments play into each other, and I think they're all super helpful to have on campus all at the same time. That weekend, as good as our big-time official visit weekend was at the end of – oh, boy, we're going to have to mute that LSU fan. 3 comments in 6 seconds is not good for my ADD. So, yeah, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, LSU certainly does not run college football. They got run out of their own stadium by Texas A&M last year. Let's not play with that. Yeah, let's mute that guy. He's already driving me nuts if we haven't already. But yeah, the Jeremiah Smith news, really big. I think Smith's going to be tough. I think Smith's going to be tough to pull away from Ohio State. But I think you continue to fight there and you continue to push and you continue to try and make your impact. And then you kind of see what happens. Does Brian Hartline potentially leave? There's been a lot of rumors around the Northwestern job. I don't know. I honestly don't see Hartline going there. But you never know. Could he end up somewhere else? You don't know what jobs are going to become available this year. I have seen it reported that Lester is expected at the elite camp. Just to answer that question, I haven't seen him come out on record and say, like, I am 100% there, but I believe the expectation is that he will be there. I have not seen an official list or anything come out, and I haven't spoken with him, so I don't have a super great answer to that. But yeah, if Brian Hartline leaves, get Jeremiah Smith in the fold. Yeah, I think that's pretty strong. I think I've also been told. I don't even know if we've shared this with the Discord yet, but I've been told that, he's solid to, well, your offense hasn't produced in years, Ty, so come on, let's not go crazy. I have heard he's solid to Ohio State, but that Florida State's running a little closer to the top of that recruitment, similar to KJ, than a lot of people realize. I think Florida State's doing a phenomenal job with Jeremiah Smith. I think you can follow the visits, and you can see how many times he has been at Florida State to kind of see where that lines up. Yeah, if Miami doesn't get blown out by a team like Middle Tennessee State this year, then I think they've got a good chance with him. So, dog, this guy is creating burner accounts. Look at this, Harlan. Look at this. This is insane. What a psycho. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's give her that one too. Okay, so Florida State got a commit yesterday. I want to talk about several targets, several things just kind of on my mind, some folks committing, some folks that FSU has targeted, did target, that I don't know if they're going to end up in the class or not. But I do want to give some love to our friends over at Garnet and Gold. You can go to garnetandgold.com. Use code NOSLAW, NOSLAW, to get 15% off of your order. NOSLAW at garnetandgold.com. Whether you're looking for the jerseys, the new coaches polos, the Columbia gear, the new shoes that come out, whatever you're looking for, Garnet and Gold will get you taken care of. You should not be shopping anywhere else. If you're local to Tallahassee or in the area, you can also shop online and do in-store pickup to save on shipping. garnetandgold.com, the only place you should be shopping for FSU gear. That's where I got this shirt. This is the one with Bobby Bowden on the back of it. Not only do I promote them, I certainly do shop there as well. So garnetandgold.com, the absolute best. Okay, what else do you guys want to talk about? I'm here for anything except for the LSU guy. I'm not here for that. And, man, we got to get Brad or Midwest or somebody in here. Where's Jasper? Somebody tag Jasper in. We've been doing this and gotten zero love so far. So, Harlan, where are all our guys at? Knowles 407. Where's the Animal House? Okay, Eric is here. Drew said he had to go get on a call. The Animal House is really letting us down today. Mike never comments. He's probably it. How much of our That's a good question. How much recent success do we attribute? I think that Norvell's offense is very playmaker friendly, right? And I think that when he got here, he said, "What we want to build an offense. We want to have an offense that's built for playmakers." I think that's kind of cliche. That's kind of like, okay, that sounds good. But then you like see what the offense starts to look like and the way that it kind of gets going. So I think it has more to do with the success that we've seen from the wide receivers the last year or so. I think they evaluated very well in the transfer portal last year and picked up Johnny Wilson, Winston Wright, Deuce Spann. I think they've done a Micah Pittman. They did a good job evaluating, but then I also think that we have absolutely crushed performance over the last 12 months, over the last year or so. So that's what I think is impressive. Bro, this guy just started again, Harlan. I don't know. I mean, I could not imagine. There's got to have – okay, I don't want to say that on air. I'm very glad that I caught myself. I'm going to say something in the Animal House, but I don't want to say it on air because I don't want to get canceled. This goes too far. What were we talking about? I just got confused. I got distracted, Harlan. I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, but I do think we've done a good job of developing, and that's probably why we're having a little bit more success with wide receivers. I also think that our NIL game is top 10 in the country. And on 3 ranked, NIL at different schools, and I think they had Florida State 6th, literally just one behind Miami, and you see how aggressive they are. And so, yeah, I think Florida State, if you want to compete for really elite talent, you have to pay. And you also have to show proof of concept on the field. And Florida State's done a good job with that. Okay, yesterday we got a commitment from Jonathan Daniels. That came out as a bit of a surprise. Well, I guess it got ruined just a little bit. The surprise did. But all in all, Florida State gets Jonathan Daniels. Big-time commitment there for the Noles. I think that's massive. One of the better offensive tackles in the country. I thought his video was really, really good. Harlan's playing that on screen now. I think that was phenomenal. I love the homage he paid. Obviously, there in the cemetery, super well thought out, super meaningful. I love the way that kind of went through the different schools, and then obviously I tweeted this, but there is just absolutely something about the way that war chant starts blaring in. I think that was super impressive, super special. We did a video on it. We put that out yesterday. You can obviously go check out more thoughts on Jonathan Daniels, but a huge commitment. That's a kid that Georgia was really, hard after. I think that LSU really wanted him, being from the Panhandle. That was big. Kentucky, another SEC program. We lost a couple of battles to Kentucky last year. I think that it was impressive to pick up Jonathan Daniels. I think that Georgia certainly wanted him, and here's where he announces it. Georgia certainly wanted him, but I do think that they Georgia couldn't Georgia read the writing on the wall and understood that where they were and weren't competing for kids. And so I think it's smart for them to kind of let off. They obviously went a couple of different directions after a while, but Florida State picks up Jonathan Daniels. Hey, I think that's not the only offensive line commit that we're going to get. Somebody asked about Solomon. I'll talk about JR. That's hilarious. Connor, mentally or like actual age? I shouldn't have made that joke. All right, so I think Florida State gets another commit today in about half an hour from Ty Hilton. Feel really, really good about him. Picking between Miami, Florida State, Florida, and Penn State. I think he ends up picking the Seminoles. We'll see kind of what happens, what goes down there. But I think Ty Hilton's an interesting prospect. We're actually going to get off here right at 12, so you guys can go back and watch what's going on with that commitment. I think he's announced on his Instagram. That seems to be the move these days. I think Florida State's in a really good spot there. I think that they've done a good job in that recruitment. And so I feel good about, I saw Mike come in. Shout out Mike. So I feel good about where we are with him. I feel good about what's going to happen there. I'm going to make Erica a moderator so that she can get rid of anything else that guy posts. So, Erica. Yeah, there you go. That way, if I can't get to it fast enough. What a weirdo. I feel good about Ty Hilton. I think the Noles are in a really good spot there. Oh, you know what? You know what I can do? You know what some people do? Harlan, how do you turn on subscriber only comments? That'd be good. Because at least he'd have to subscribe from like 18 different channels. Like, that's the move. Can you figure out how to do that while we're on here? Let's at least make it pay for us. Ty Hilton today, Mekhi Danzy tomorrow. Florida State recruiting him as a running back. I feel really good about that one as well. We've also talked about how Erica going for Harlan's job. We've talked about how they're recruiting him again, running back as a Whoa, Nose 407. Let's go. Welcome to the stream. I think Florida State's in a great spot there too. Again, Florida State, Miami battle. I think there's going to be 3 of those this weekend. Obviously, Miami got the first one yesterday. I think the Noles get the next 2. All right, somebody asked about Jalewis Solomon. I'll answer that, but I want to give some love to Gramco, thegramco.com. You can go there and get all of your – I did tell the Discord I was going live at 11, bro. What do you want me to say? TJ25 at checkout. Make sure you re-up. Look, Queenie's in here. Queenie got him some gummies and stuff this week, vapes, pre-rolls, all that stuff. Make sure that you go to thegramco.com. Use TJ25 for all of your Delta 8 needs. What's the the game is already over. Whoever win. What are we talking about winning? We haven't gotten any. What do we have about 25 minutes left? Because we're going to go off just before 11 so that you guys can get back to this. So, YouTube Studio, click video, click customize. Yeah. We should just turn that on for all videos. Make people subscribe. I saw 247 did that, and that kind of pissed me off, but that is kind of a smart thing because I had to subscribe to them to shout out the Animal House. So, all right, people asked about Jalewis Solomon. I still feel really good there. I will tell you, I think that I will feel better if he visits Florida State at the end of this month as opposed to if he visits South Carolina. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that if he visits South Carolina that it is completely over, but I do think that it's a little bit telling, right? I think if a kid is chat is open to everybody or is not. Okay, cool. Look at Harlan. Harlan's the man. Gator Kirk, my guy. I'll feel better about Solomon if we can get him to visit here on the 29th. Look, if you've got Jeremiah Smith and Charles Lester, obviously Luke, everybody else. Michael, they can just subscribe and then it lets them comment. If you've got all those guys coming in, Luke, I'm sure a lot of the commits will be here as well. If you've got all those guys coming in, you need to push for Jalewis Solomon to get here as well. And I think that would be telling. I think if he gets here, I feel really, really good about where Florida State stands with him. I think if he goes to South Carolina, if he goes to another school a week before he commits, I think you have to look at that and just kind of say, maybe he's making a little bit of a statement there. Now, people have certainly gone to other schools the week before they've committed and still committed to Florida State. Rydarius Red Morgan just did that. Ricky Knight did that. They were both in Miami the week before they committed. So I don't think it's like, oh, man, done deal. We're not getting him. I do think it gives you a moment of pause because they have been the team that got in his ear last. And Florida State definitely wants him on campus that weekend. And so if they're not able to push for that, if they're not able to get that, I do think it comes as a little bit of a, okay, are we as solid as we thought? Or do we have this kid's attention the same way we thought? If a kid is going to commit to you and going to spend the rest of his college career with you, uh, probably want him to, um, you'll want to have the relationship to where he trusts you and is coming to your event, not someone else's. Now, I will say, being our JV team, I do think it is possible that he's going to see what it would look like to spend a year or two at South Carolina and then transfer the way that most South Carolina elite players do. So if that's the case, I kind of understand it. I kind of understand him wanting to see like, oh, okay, well, here's what J-Rob did. Here's what this guy did. Here's what Jaheim Bell did. We spend a year or two here, and then we come over to Florida State. Grass is always greener type stuff. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But yeah, obviously you would want him to be on campus that last weekend of the month when everyone else is there. And if he is, I feel like Florida State clearly leads heavily there. I wonder how Ariel is doing. She's had a couple of days. She's had 2 days, a day and a half, I guess, to decompress. I think she's probably doing better. So, Harlan, are we giving out any XP today? Are we giving out XP for donations? We'll see. Whoa, you came in hot there, bro. Say what? Only for donations, not just viewers, except Erica. Erica always just gets whatever she wants. So, yeah, I think we'll do. I think we'll do anything in the next 5 minutes. Whoever's leading, I think we'll just do like 5,000 XP or something like that. Yo, that said Antoine, and I thought for sure it said Ariel on the chat. So, yeah, Kevin Levy. Let's talk about him. I was like, man, y'all really called her out, but yeah, it was Antoine, not Ariel. It's hard to see. I'm old. Yeah, Kevin Levy, no longer a take. Yeah, I think Florida State's moved on there. Yeah, it's been kind of widely reported at this point. Again, shout out the guys at Knowles 247 that do a phenomenal job there. Making that info, and Zach, I think, even put in a crystal ball for him to Louisville. Yeah, that probably makes you feel good about some other defensive back targets. I think Florida State obviously feels really good about Charles Lester. I think they feel decently good about KJ Bolden. I think they feel pretty good about Jalewis Solomon. They just took Ricky Knight. They took Red Morgan. I think the defensive back room is filling up. And so I think Levy is a guy that was a little bit of a project guy anyway. I mean, look at the offer list. Look at where he's going to end up at Louisville. I don't think if you're losing a kid like that to UF or Georgia or Ohio State, I mean, then I think you're like, man, we really missed out. I don't think he was a can't miss prospect by any means. I do think Florida State liked his game and thought they could develop him, but I think that they feel like there are bigger fish to fry out there, and they want to save room in that defensive back room for some of these elite targets, some of these blue chip guys like Lester, Solomon, Bolden, potentially others. So yeah, I think Florida State's kind of moving on there, and probably for good reason. On JoJo Trader, yeah, I talked about it a little bit more. If you go back in the live and check it out, we talked about it around the 10-minute mark, I think. But yeah, I think they'll continue to pursue there. I still think they try and get him on campus for the FSU Miami game. I think Florida State feels like they can make a pretty big statement in that game like they did last year. And so I think that if you've got a kid committed to Miami, you certainly want him to see what that rivalry or what that matchup looks like. I expect Florida State to beat Miami's brains in again this year. And so if you've got a kid that you're fighting Miami for, I think you would probably want to get him on campus to see that. So still in it. We've talked about this. The percentages of kids decommitting is not super high. So I'm certainly not saying that they absolutely flip him, but I do think that, they're going to give it their best effort. I don't know, I don't know how solid the commitment is. I don't know if it was kind of more of a pressure thing. We'll see. But yeah, I think they're still in it. They'll still keep fighting, even though he did make it an official verbal to Miami last night. Daniels is a center. I mean, he's 6'4" and has an insane wingspan. So we'll see like what kind of 6'4.5" really is what On3 has him measured at. So, if he gets that other half an inch, he's 6'5". I mean, I think he projects as a tackle right now. Could he play interior? I mean, I think so. We'll see what kind of weight he puts on being in an FSU program for a couple of years. But I think he projects as a tackle. I think his length, his athleticism, his quickness, his wingspan, all kind of project toward the outside. The good news is that Florida State has some big guys that I think can play tackle. I think Armella, I think Simmons can play that. I think that it's probably tackle until it's not, and so we'll see. Don't tell the Gator fans that we're using On3 for stuff. Okay, I don't want to say that. I think, I'll say it anyway. Half inch matters, Michael, speaking from experience there. Breakout players this year. We heard some good rumblings on Ja'Kai Douglas. We'll go a little bit deeper into that on Sunday. We've got a video coming out. I think the good thing with Florida State, and I asked Ingram this in our live Discord chat the other day. So again, if you're not part of that Discord, man, nobody hit. I discouraged you guys so much from the super chat that nobody wants to hit it anymore. So it's my fault mostly. Harlan, it was a terrible idea by me. But not even for the XP. I'll steal Ingram's answer here. I think with Florida State, you just know so well what you've got coming back. Is it fair to call? I mean, Jordan Travis is going to be the best player on the team. Jared Verse is going to be the best player on the defense. You expect really good things out of a lot of people. Trey Benson's not a breakout guy. Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, those aren't breakout guys because you expect it. So I don't know. Winston Wright, maybe. I think, there's some smoke around Ja'Kai Douglas being really good. I mean, obviously you'd love it if it was like Destin Hill made a massive splash or something like that. But yeah, breakout player that's not a transfer. I mean, I guess you could say Toa Philly, Rodney Hill. Breakout player that's not a transfer is tough. Josh Farmer could have a really good year. I would say Pat Payton, but I still feel like you kind of, he was the ACC's rookie of the year. You're not breaking any news there, right? By saying that he's probably going to have a good year. Jerry Jones is probably a really good one to use. I think that's a good one. I think Jerry Jones is a really good one. Josh Farmer is a good one too, but I think Jones, 2 years ago, he got so much crap, but he is a player that did get better and better and better. And then I think last year at the end of the year, he was really playing well. So I think Jerry Jones could be one. I don't think Armella is going to play this year, so I don't have him. I think Azariah Thomas could be a guy that I'm interested in. I think he had just such a quiet spring, and there's people that are concerned about him and what's going to end up happening there. I'm not concerned about Azariah Thomas, just for the record, but secondary's just got so much talent, and so we'll see kind of how it all shakes out. But I think that Azariah Thomas is not a terrible pick by any means. I don't think Armella gets in non-garbage time situations. I really like Armella. I think there's a great chance that he plays a big role next year, but I just think there's a lot of guys in front of him. On Sunday, I'm going to give you what I think our depth chart is on the offensive line. So there's a little teaser for you guys to come back. Not good, Eric. Not good. I just think kicking has got to improve, and I liked where Fitz was at the end of last year. I think that he definitely got better. But at the same time, it just wasn't consistent enough. And so we'll see. I think in spring, you heard that both guys, both he and the ETSU transfer, but they'd have really good days and they'd have really bad days. And so it's spring. We'll see if somebody separates during fall. But I'm telling you, kicking worries me. Kicking, and it's just because it's just so unknown, right? If you just knew the guy was terrible and you just went for it every fourth down, then it probably wouldn't worry me. But, kid could make, one of them could make 3 in a game. And then if you got to trot them out there for that fourth one to beat Clemson or beat LSU, I think you're worried, So I think that's what worries me the most. I think he had some personal things going on as well, not to spread rumors or go deep into that at all, but I think he certainly had some things kind of going on that were impacting him as well. And I think that you'd hope that is kind of cleared up. He's in a better space mentally. Kicking is very mental, kind of like golf, kind of like some other stuff that you'd hope that things could be worked out a little bit more. But I'm worried about it. Remember when Alabama, I'm certainly not trying to put us on this level, but you remember when Alabama was so loaded at every single position and their fans on social media would absolutely just complain and rail about having not having a kicker? Like that's what I feel like right now with our kicking struggles. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. We'll see how things go on kicking. But is it crazy to say that's my biggest worry on the team? I mean, I don't think it's crazy to say. I think that, oh man, did that LSU guy finally run out of time, or did his mom tell him to come up here? Or his mom told him to go back up to his room. But yeah, I'm a little worried about kicking. That's probably my biggest concern. That and then the safety depth. You know, I think those are my two big things at this point. Stepping up as a punt returner. I like Dre Jacobs a lot. I think Destin Hill could step into that role. But they're both really young guys. And, you know, so Pittman was back there last year. And, you know, that's a veteran guy that Pittman came on the spaces with Newberg and I and said he just doesn't see how it's so hard to catch punts. Like, he's like, I'm basically like, I'm not going to drop a punt during my time in Tallahassee. And so I think that, you know, you can put talented guys back there, but like, are they shorthanded, right? Because I'd love to have a couple of punt return touchdowns. Don't get me wrong at all. But I just want shorthanded guys that are never going to drop the ball. That's what I care about most. I don't really care about the touchdowns there. I just catch the ball, don't let it roll for 20 yards backwards, and let's roll. Does Northwestern have a good safety? You know, I don't know if their coach just got fired, can they I know that it undoes the transfer rule. Like, you can transfer more than once, but I don't know if it opens the windows. Like, are they allowed to transfer right now? I don't have a good answer on that. I'm not sure. But I don't know. I don't know if they do or not. Probably not, though. I mean, it's Northwestern. All right. We've got about 10 minutes left. We're about 15 minutes away from a commitment. He's Eastern time? Yeah, he's in Oviedo. So let's see. That is on his Instagram. Am I remembering that right? Ty Hilton. Too Cold Ty. Yeah. 12 p.m. on Instagram. Feel good there. Maybe we should stay on. No, I don't think we're going to stay on. I think we're going to let you guys. Listen, I think the Noles pick him up. I think we're good. I think we're in good shape right now. I think it's the second of 3 commits that we get this weekend. We talked about Levy. Also, I think Hampton, I think Florida State kind of moved on there a little bit as well. And so I think, you know, people have asked about Levy. People have asked about Hampton. I don't expect either of them to pick the Noles this weekend. Moving TJ Pittenger in the old folks' home today. What's he talking about here? Oh, Perkins hanging out in the animal house, but not in the live chat. These people, Harlan, I'm telling you. Jeffrey Bell. He can't show up 45 minutes into the thing and then ask what we talked about in the first 5 minutes. You got to go back and listen to the beginning. You're killing me. Florida State seems to be trending well for 1 5-star and has another 5-star visiting campus at the end of the month. But again, you can't. I mean, come on, man. I can't talk about it the whole time. You know, I gotta keep going. Stay on the live and stream it. I actually think that might be kind of tough because we just don't have it set up. But he didn't pass this trial last night. I don't get it. We don't need a safety that bad. Oh, trail. I can't read. Sorry. You're good, Jeffrey. But yeah, there's good info at the beginning. Think we're looking good for 1 5-star. We feel like we're in good shape. Tennessee, okay, the NCAA sucks. All right. Okay, I went on a rant on that on a video this morning. That's a good. Knowles 47, thank you very much. But yeah, insane. But what's even the point when like NIL exists? Like, who even cares? You know, like now it didn't exist then, but the NCAA is such a worthless organization to literally take wins away from Coach Bowden and let things go on at Penn State, Northwestern, um, LSU, Tennessee, other places, and slap them on the wrist. I don't know. The NCAA sucks. That's just kind of a nice way to say it, I suppose. But yeah, NCAA sucks. So anyway, yeah, not surprised though on the Tennessee stuff. Not in the least. So so I put out a video this morning. What I think the Power 5 conferences need to do, and then all those smaller ones too will join, is they just need to leave the NCAA. They just need to opt out and just kind of have like a conference affiliation that is totally separate from the NCAA. The NCAA doesn't assign a champion anymore in college football at the FBS level. They do at the FCS level. The college football playoff is not run by the NCAA. Like, who cares? Just leave. Remember when COVID happened, the NCAA wasn't the one advising on how many games you should play. The conferences did that. The conferences have all the power. These collectives have a lot of power now too. But I think the NCAA is irrelevant. They're trying to limit the ways that kids can earn money because they want to keep all the money for themselves that is in this sport. I'm not a big fan of the NCAA. Not many people are. I get it. As how bad of an organization do you have to be for me to defend the ACC? Like, come on. You guys will watch the channel. You know my thoughts there. But that's a pretty bad organization. All right, we'll go for 5 more minutes. We have not had a live a long time, Harlan, where somebody legitimately held their title through the entire live, but I think Brad's going to do it. So shout out Brad. There was a question around TJ Abrams. I think Florida State's in a little bit better spot there than they had been. I think TJ Abrams may stay committed. We'll see. Harlan, your UF sources telling you anything different on TJ? I feel good. I think we're in a good spot for him. So, I think Florida State's pretty close to that too. I don't know if people could see or what you just said or not, but I could. So, okay, Raycom. Okay, we didn't talk about the Raycom thing. So here's where I am with the Raycom. I think it's essentially just like the Bally Sports deal. It just got moved over to Raycom instead of Bally Sports and Fox Sports Net. Like Florida State. When was the last time Florida State was on Bally or like Raycom? Like they're never on those. I think the Raycom thing, the CW is essentially just the secondary games. Like when Pittsburgh plays whoever, Syracuse, right? And nobody's watching that on ESPN and stuff. It's those secondary games. Now, we do have an ACC network, like literally our own network. I don't know why we're not putting games on that. Maybe the same reason we didn't put the spring games on TV either. But, yeah, I don't know, man. It's time to get out of the conference. But I do think the CW thing is basically, instead of the games being on Bally or Fox Sports Sun or Fox Sports Florida, I think it was, you know what? You are right. I think it was the, was it the week 0 game? Erica? But it's always when we play somebody like that. I think. I could be wrong on that. Maybe it was Georgia Tech? I don't know. It's always something like that. It's always an off game. Like they're never going to put FSU Clemson on that, right? Like that's always going to be. So, I mean, whatever. If it's on a local channel, it's on a local channel. But it's kind of like the secondary games. Louisiana, that's right. Yeah, you're right. Very end of the year. Yeah, like the North Alabama game ends up on CW, whatever, What I usually do is put that game on the big screen and then have 2 other screens going with like fun games on it. So I'm still watching the FSU game, but there's stuff. Away game because we scrambled to figure out how to watch it at home. I don't remember then. Away, well, it had to be ACC then because we only played away games in the ACC last year. So I don't know. All right, we got about one more minute, then we'll jump off of here. I'll hit some rapid fire questions and we'll get out. We'll go watch Ty Hilton commit. See if Florida State stuffs Mario and Coach Sunbelt Billy into a locker or not. FSU should have the home game streamed live and produced by the FSU Communications. They sell the advertising, make all the money. I can't right now because of their grant of rights that they signed and the media deal that exists with ESPN. I don't disagree with you, but yeah, I'm just not allowed right now. Okay, I think we're in really good shape. I think this is good. I think we did a little bit less than an hour today, but again, we may have another video coming out in like 6 minutes. So go check that out. I think Florida State's about to get some good news. So commit is at 12 p.m. noon. If you enjoyed this, make sure that you're subscribed. If you're commenting, you had to be subscribed. So maybe that's what kicked him out. He didn't subscribe. That was the way to do it, Harlan. That was smart. So make sure that you thumbs up the content. Again, we put out a Screw the NCAA video this morning. Again, I think there may be another video coming out in about 5 or 6 minutes. So thank you guys for hanging out. Shout out the Animal House, the real ones in here. We'll be back with another video this afternoon, another one probably tomorrow, and then we have a big one coming on Sunday too. So thank you guys as always for the support. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the comments. Had fun today. And join the Discord and the Patreon. Look at Erica. She's a better converter on this stuff than I am. So, yeah, join the Patreon, exclusive Nuggets info. We put more on Jeremiah Smith. I'm sorry, more on JoJo Trader and more on KJ Bolden in there. I don't have anything on Jeremiah Smith just yet. Like, that news just came out. So, y'all let me live. But patreon.com/DFNS. Go check it out. Talk to you guys soon. Go Noles.